What is going on? Welcome back to what I'm calling an evening with Chris Kennedy. I don't actually have a name for my music podcast. So if anybody has any ideas, drop a comment or anything, slide in my DMs, whatever you guys want to do. I need a name because an evening with just sounds like I'm running like a brothel or something like that. And I'm not in that game anymore. Marc knows. But in conjunction with Circle of Debate, I love interviewing musicians. I am a musician. I am with a brothers in arms. Marc Motley from the band The Arson Choir. Marc and I have played thousands of shows together, either on the same stage at the same time. We've shared lockouts. I've known him for about 10 years. I'm very excited to have him on the show. But the band he's in now, The Arson Choir, you guys have known each other for 20 years, essentially. I don't know how long you've known Phil and Steven for, but I know that very early inceptions of this band, I don't want to say inceptions of this band, the same lineup has evolved at least 3 times over the course of literally your entire life. I mean, Arms Like Yours started 20 years ago. I would say. You evolved into the second version of that, which was a little bit more post-hardcore In an Emergency, which I was a huge fan of, which we shared the lockout with. And then evolved into something just more pissed off, grittier, and angrier, dare I say, in The Arson Choir, which is a lot more my style. You could classify it as mathcore. I want to talk to you real quick. The lineup evolving, new members to the band, at least with Phil and Steven, how they fit in, I guess, finding them, making sure they fit with people that have already been playing with each other for 20 years. And then your opinion on genre labels also, because I know things like gent, deathcore, mathcore are like dirty words. Like you never want to call yourself these names, even though you are them. Is that an opinion everybody has, or are you just kind of going with it?
Oh man, there's a lot to unpackage and all that. First of all, thank you so much for having me on here. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I kind of
we kind of had like a 10-minute interview just catching up. All those bands were, they were fun to do. I think what the evolution became was just the Arson Choir turned into my turn to write. And like the other bands we had, Arms Like Yours had one particular writer, In an Emergency had one particular writer, and with the Arson Choir, I'm that one particular writer. So it kind of more fell on what I was feeling, and it was kind of more like my turn to step up and do this version of the band.
And this is your first time playing guitar, not bass, correct? In a band setting.
Yes, yeah. I started playing guitar for a band called A Shattered Hope in San Diego for like a year or two. Like it wasn't a long stint, but it kind of was like a good. I needed to do something else. We played Warped Tour, and I think I played guitar on that.
You definitely did. Yeah, you played both of our Warped Tour dates with Light Up the Eyes, and we opened for the Antagonist at Alex's Bar, and you were on guitar for that one.
Yeah.
Maybe some House of Blueses too, but
I needed to do something. It just came down to like, bass is fun, and I still play bass. I still enjoy playing bass, but like, I felt like I hit a wall. And I think you've done that before, where you're playing guitar and you're like, I don't know where to go anymore. And that's kind of what happened with bass. I was like, I just don't know what to do with this anymore. So if I didn't play guitar, I think I would have probably stopped playing music. So Phil and Steven kind of just came along. Steven came from a band called Channels.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's
great band.
Daniel Navarrete and Grant Arminto. I forget his last name.
Yeah. They're old.
Yeah.
Amazing band. Like I love playing with those dudes because they brought an energy and just something different to like post-hardcore, and I really love that band. But unfortunately things happened and they kind of fizzled, and when they broke up, Steven had the lockout that was next door to us in Arson, so it just kind of was like, hey, like you're not doing anything, like do you want to come play bass? And it just kind of worked out, which kind of sucks because like Steven is the best guitar player in the Arson Choir, and he's playing bass. So it's a weird, but it's cool for him because he just gets to show up and like throw his guitar around. Phil was in a band called Unscarred, and we had played with them a few times at Malone's, and he dug what we did, but we kind of never. We already had our previous singer at the time, and when he bounced, Phil slid in the DMs and was like, "Yo, like let me try it out," and the dude just commands. Like I can't put it any other way except he just is a massive presence that kind of was the hole that we kind of needed filled. I don't know if that's corny.
No, that's, I mean, unless you fill it with corn.
I mean,
yeah, he's very powerful, which is a weird way to put it. Was the idea going into the Arson Choir, okay, we want to play music still. I still want to play with these same people. What kind of music do we want to make? Let's be angry. Let's be mathy. Let's be this. Was there any idea, or was it let's get in a room and just do something based on either something we've never done before or what we're all listening to now?
So during the kind of like rough writing inception of the band, like I was bringing riffs, Eric was bringing riffs, and Kevin was kind of like digesting what worked at the time. And I think what I was bringing was a little bit more appealing. And not to say that what Eric brings wasn't appealing. I think it was just, he was coming off being in a different band with a different mindset, with a different writing style.
And I was that the Haunted or Kill the Prom Queen or
something, one of those.
Yeah.
And I was coming from Shattered Hope. So it was kind of like, well, do you want like a slow melodic post-hardcore-y kind of sound? Or do you want something that's fast, aggressive, with a little bit of a punk edge? And I feel like we just wanted to play something fast and mean. And it was kind of like, well, if this is we very much have the mindset where like this band can end tomorrow. Like anything can happen to anybody at any time. And I'm going to enjoy what we're doing in case this is the last ride. Yes, wrestling pun intended.
Oh, yeah.
And in case the next show that we're promoting is the last show, like kind of what happened with the pandemic. When lockdown hit, if we had ended, the last show we did was with Pressure Cracks, and it was a dope like packed house, and we got a good like show with it. And then we did the one with Steak Sauce Mustache, and it was a dope show too. Like in case it's
like your heroes, right? Like
yeah. In case it's the last show, like we want to go out big, and like I feel like we've been doing that. It's that mentality of like anything can happen.
Now, knowing all three of you guys personally, I've never met Steven or Daniel, or Phil. Sorry, Phil, your name on Facebook has Daniel in it. That's what I'm used to saying. My bad. Knowing at least Kevin, Eric, and Marc personally, and knowing you and Kevin even more personally than Eric, I've heard, and even members from an emergency like Landon and Nick have talked to me at some point where like, even Bobby, I think, had a small conversation with me at one point where this is the last time we're going to try a project, and if it doesn't work, we're done. That has just always been kind of in everyone's back of their head. That happens with a lot of musicians. When something doesn't work out, you're just like, why am I in this?
Yeah.
Are you guys Tony Stark at 200% power with this now? Are you guys like, holy shit, we are completely rejuvenated, let's fucking tear it up? Or is this like, let's just get this out of the way, put this album out, and whatever happens, happens? Or is this like, I love this shit, let's keep rolling?
I think there's a couple, like, you hit a certain age where those mentalities kind of have to be questioned. And I think that's okay. Like, I think that's okay to question, can I still do this? Can my body still do this? Do I have time to do this? Do I have the energy to do this? Is this still a big priority for me in my life? I think those questions have kind of come up more, especially after the lockdown, where, certain members have, established families, established new careers. We're going to see.
Congratulations to Kevin, just got married.
We're going to see how coming back with this show, like how we feel just doing it in general. Like we've kind of hit that point where I don't want to keep opening up for everybody else. Like it's kind of start to like, let's if we're going to do this seriously, like let's take this seriously. Because if we're headed for another lockdown, do you want to go back to lockdown playing for 2 people in somebody's closet, or do you want to go to lockdown playing for 100 people and hopefully having a good time doing that too?
Right. Which you guys were still technically a new band when the first I mean, goddamn, I hope there's not a second lockdown. Cross his fingers. But during the first one, you guys were ready to, take over, and music was written. You had played at least 1 or 2 shows. I don't remember how many shows prior to pandemic you actually hit. So when the pandemic hit and lockdown, was that a moment where you were like, what the fuck are we going to do? Should we write? Should we wait? Should we just try to stay active and not fall by the wayside and, stay in the ears?
So pre-pandemic, like when we were kind of on the ball, I think we hit I want to say we hit 75 shows. So because we're a very live band. Like that's the main thing that we put out is come see us live, because the record's cool, but come experience the show live. So we had done close to 75, almost 80 shows pre-pandemic. And then during lockdown, it was always month to month. It was always okay, well, next month we're going to open up, or next month things will open up, or next month things will clear up. And it kind of just kept on going and going. And we had an EP that we had been sitting on where it's we need to put this out. This music needs to get out one way or another. And that was kind of where when it hit October, it was this music needs to come out regardless of what's going on. There's things in the world that this record talks about, and it needed to be said. And I feel that's, the video for Revenge My Love touches a lot on that, and a lot of what Phil's experience with police and authority, what all those things were going on, the things with George Floyd, with Breonna Taylor, all those things were happening, and that video needed to come out.
Right. It's sign of the times and could be outdated if it were to come out any later, which I totally understand.
Yeah. And then the rest of them were fun. Vanisher, I did a playthrough video where I get chicken nuggets thrown at me. Gore was a video with our Boys and Takers Levers where we were.
That video, dude, backyard wrestling galore, man. If you've ever been a child watching pro wrestling, that's the video for you.
So I think material needed to come out, and then while that stuff was coming out, we're continuing to write for whatever's coming next, and I think this kind of gave us time to sit down and go, let's write songs, not just to play live. We need to write songs that can be listened to on a record.
So the idea was that we don't know when pandemic is over. Let's stay a band. So when pandemic is over, we can come out guns blazing. We have new material. Obviously, you guys have a show coming up September 18th at the FTG in Santa Ana. Not the first show back, or close to it. You had one in July, I believe.
So technically the first show back. We did do Mathcore Fest, which was a stream event, and whole bunch of fun doing that. That was a lot of fun. I fully recommend checking out all those bands that were on Mathcore Fest: Steak Sauce Mustache, Callous Cowboys, Thin, A God Awful Truth, a lot of great bands. So that was kind of our first step back into can we physically do this? And yeah, I think we did okay. So September 18th will be the first show back in person, as long as things hopefully go down. Numbers need to go down.
Yeah, that's back in my head right now with where I'm at in my career. So yeah. I'm with you on that, definitely.
You're going on tour, so it's I
can't think about it. I'm not here to promote anything I'm doing. This isn't about me, but I am going through that same thing where I have some major fucking shows coming up, and all of them will be done by November 1st. And we just have to get to there. I don't want to be selfish about it. I want everybody to stay safe, follow protocols, do what they need to do to keep the numbers down. But besides that, yeah, this is fun. It's the biggest thing I've ever been a part of. And with you guys, I think on the path to becoming a success. I mean, Arms Like Yours was huge for the time. This was 20 years ago. You guys are different people, more mature, dare I say, not angrier, but the music definitely is more angry. I mean, if you listen to it, you're going to be like, wow, they have something to talk about for sure.
You know, a lot of the music that I write comes from a lot of heartache and comes from a lot of things that I go through. So like I try to channel whatever I'm feeling into the guitar, and then I kind of give that to Phil, and he interprets it his way. So it's a mix of like what I'm going through with what's in Phil's head.
Yeah, I do the same. Like I'll write a song. I can't write. I can write for almost every instrument, at least synthetically,
Yeah.
but I can't write vocal melodies with my mouth or lyrics.
Yeah.
So I'll try to write an entire song, and then that song will tell its own story. But then if I give that to the singer, I'll tell them what the song is about to me, and then if they want to run with it, that's cool. But like with Light Up the Eyes, we wrote all the music, and then obviously Michelle had her themes that she wanted to get out, much like what Phil's doing. So it always made sense that the singer has to usually relate to what they're singing about, or there could be no heart or passion behind it.
Well, there's so many like growing up with music. There's so many paths that different people take to write their music. Like it's always interesting to hear somebody's process. You know, I feel like you and I write things almost. This is gonna sound like weird, but we almost write things in the way that like rappers write things, because they make the track first and then the lyrics come later. Where there's some groups where they write the lyrics first and then put music to it.
Or like singer-songwriter, which is something I love and is very organic, is they'll start with the chord melody and singing at the same time. Mm-hmm. And whatever the change comes first, if the change comes on the guitar, the voice will change to that note. Or if the vocal takes a direction, the guitar will follow it. And I'm very jealous of that ability. Yeah. So, but since I can't sing, I do what I can. I try to write as much of a song as I can that sounds like it's a song. And if it needs to be edited when I bring it to other people, I'm open to that option for sure. You recently played Mathcore Fest, and I wanted to talk real quick the genre thing that I brought up earlier.
Yeah.
So is it a dirty word? Are you proud of it? Is it like, because I know that people are like, oh, Mathcore, you really automatically know what that sounds like if you're in the metal world or hard rock world. You're like, oh, Mathcore, I hear that band in my head without having to actually listen to it. So
you know what, dude? It's really how do I say this? It's really complicated, because I didn't consider what I do mathcore. I don't feel like I'm talented enough to be mathcore. So we always go with diet mathcore. Like I always say that we are diet mathcore. Like we're the gateway drug to mathcore. But in the same breath, when we started, I didn't really start going like, oh, let's play the most like mathy techie stuff I can. It was just like, let's play something fast, aggressive, and with weird time signatures. And I guess that's mathcore. Like I thought it was experimental hardcore. Eric thought it was post-hardcore. Kevin thought it was metal. So we're in a weird time where like everybody wants to name a genre. Like you can't just be this one thing. Like metal is so all-encompassing. Metal is such an umbrella term now, where to be totally honest, I kind of don't feel like I connect with the metal anymore. Like metal being the overall like thing, I don't feel like I connect with it anymore. It doesn't speak to me the way that it used to before. We watched a stream with a bunch of metal bands, and it was cool to watch and it was cool to hear those bands, but I couldn't connect with any of the music. It was like slow, doomy, like super, I don't know. It didn't hit me the way that like Killswitch or the way that Trivium or the way that Dillinger Escape Plan, those metal bands, it didn't hit me anymore.
Yeah, and there's always the fan or the super nerd, or other bands even do that thing where like, oh, they're not metal enough, or this metalcore sucks compared to death metal, but there's deathcore, which is like the bastard. Like I really hate that. And I try to stay away from doing that when I describe either music I'm working on or when I do my 1-minute reviews. I really hate saying, check out this mathcore band from California. Yeah. I try to use other words to do that because I really hate pigeonholing something, because that's exactly what you're doing, is you're putting a label on something that could change or be incorrect. But people just have a tendency to do that, whether it's a sense of belonging or ostracizing, depending on what side of the coin you're on. So
well, the one good thing about mathcore, and this is the one like big flag that I like about mathcore, is mathcore has become all-encompassing as far as very welcoming. Like you can be a punk style mathcore, you can be a deathcore style mathcore, you can be a spazzy style mathcore, you can be a comedy style mathcore. Like Steak Sauce Mustache is amazing, but they're hilarious too. And that's the one good thing about the umbrella term of mathcore is jazz, punk, hardcore, it all fits in that area where we can play with anybody. Like I don't have a problem playing with, you know, the heaviest deathcore band or some pop punk band. Like I'll do both.
Right. Yeah, one thing I remember when Dillinger came out back in the early 90s, goddamn.
Yeah.
The genre didn't exist. What you would call mathcore now, but so what I've always loved, and this was the original label, was avant-garde or avant-garde metal was the term. And I love that because that could be anything. That could just be weird jazz with no heavy guitars. That could just be straight actual jazz.
Yeah.
Or it could be punk, or it could be Armenian wedding music. It just means not inside the box. Mm. Essentially, that's what everybody kind of, I mean, not everybody, but a lot of musicians just don't want to sound like other musicians. I think that to me is the most important thing, is sounding like Marc, which is what it sounds like you're doing now.
I hope so. You know, in taking so many songwriting classes and taking so many songwriting seminars, you get so many different opinions on what, you know, quantifies being a songwriter or what validates being a song just in general. So I just do the best to have a good time and get what I'm feeling out.
That's the life lesson to me with music, and it is art. It's literally just like a painter. For example, I don't like modern art, but I love Renaissance art. Mm-hmm. I'm not wrong. I'm not right. I don't like Jackson Pollock, but I like Rembrandt. Yeah. That nobody's right or wrong about that, and it's all up to the interpretation of not only the artist but the listener,
but the person accepting it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's why we've always gotten along as far as not just music, but wrestling, art, comedians. I know we both like, you know, certain comedians. There's different flavors for different people. You don't have to like what everyone likes, and you don't have to not like what nobody likes. Like you can pick and choose what thing you want to do. Like we were just talking about it. You might not like Darby Allin. I personally like Darby Allin. Yeah. You might not like Tom Segura. Again, I like Tom Segura. I think all those different forms of art have an audience, and it's just connecting with that audience.
Yeah, and I think with that being said, too many people are too worried about judging what other people like that you don't like. Contrarians,
yeah,
that exist, like, have no place in arts. Yeah, and that's a lot of what's out there with what I'm talking about with, like, oh, this isn't this enough, this isn't that enough, I'm too cool for school. And I think that just needs to somehow be gone. And I know it never will be, but it's just keep yourself separated from that and make the music, make the art that you're passionate about. As long as you reach one person, and I say this about myself, as long as your music or your art reaches one person, even if it's yourself, yeah, that can be good enough. Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Puppy? Will Puppy be joining us at the FTG show? Doing a little
maybe
mosh pit?
Yeah, elitism has always been in every scene.
Yeah, most definitely.
There's metal elitists, there's music elitists, there's wrestling elitists, there's comedy elitists, there were art elitists in the fucking 1700s.
Yeah.
So they'll always be there. I think it's up to the artist to break those cycles.
Yeah, or to just not care about them, which is the big deal. Is if you can show, what's the word I'm looking for? There was a word for it where you don't care. Not lethargy. Empathy. Is that what it is?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough. I know what, like, the difference between empathy and sympathy. What's the difference between empathy and sympathy? I don't know, and I don't care, I think is the phrase. Something like that. Yeah. As long as you don't care what other people think, as far as if they're haters, you know, yeah, that's a big thing, and it's really hard not to. I mean, I know I don't know if I want to bring this up too much, but I know a long time ago you guys announced the show as the Arson Choir. It was, I think, a metal show, and some fuckhead on Facebook was like, "What are they doing on this show? It's not, they're not metal." I'm like, who gives a fuck? Yeah. Just go to the show and enjoy yourself. And if you don't want to enjoy yourself, don't go. Simple as that.
I've come to the realization is you can't please everybody, and at that show they were all there.
Dude, okay, talking about stand-up comedians, Mitch Hedberg has a great joke. You can't please all of the people all the time. And last night, all of those people were at my show.
At my show. Yep. That's
the line right there, man. So yeah, for sure.
Dude, that was good. He was a damn good comedian.
Oh yeah, rest in peace, man. Probably my number one. I want to talk about what's coming next for Arson Choir. You guys do have a show at the FTG, the Feed the Goods. I'm sorry, what was it called? Or the Goods?
Or the Goods, yes.
Or the Goods in Santa Ana. Tickets are on sale online, I believe, and at the door through Condor Entertainment. They're $10 pre-sale, $12 at the door. That's going to be a fun one. Anti-King is playing.
Mero, and I don't know the name of the other band. I'm sorry, guys.
Yes, I will drop links below to all the bands playing that show. And there is a single in the works right now coming out. Not sure the date yet. It is called Be Gone, the Form of Man. I'm excited about that. Is there anything else you want to promote besides the show coming up? Is there a full EP or?
We're in the works talking about a full length. If you want to help with that, please go buy merch. Like, that's the one thing I can tell you is please, our record label War Against, they have a website where you can buy merch. If you want to buy it directly from us, you can always go to Bandcamp. It's thearsonchoir.bandcamp.com. There's plenty
I will drop every single link in the comment section below, so don't even worry.
There's plenty of shirts, there's vinyl, there's cassettes, there's pins. Any little bit is appreciated, and it supports us, and it helps make this a little bit more full-time, which is what we're hoping to get.
Cool, man. I appreciate that. I'm with you on that. We've been in the band scene for our literally entire lives. And the fact that we're still doing our damn thing, I'm proud of you, like legitimately. I wish I could say it to everyone else in the band, but to know that you have I want to say a new fire burning as hot as it is burning right now. I cannot wait to come out to a show and see that on stage. I really appreciate it, Marc from Arson Choir. Find all of their links. I'm going to drop them below, and have a good night. And that's it, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, buddy.